Hello, Civ fans, and welcome to today's Firaxis livestream.
My name is Pete Murray. I'm going to be your host today, and I am joined, as usual, by Anton Stringer, lead designer of the Civilization 6 New Frontier Pass. Welcome back, Anton.
Hi, good to be here.
And I would like to welcome Carl Harrison, Firaxis's newest designer working on Civilization. Carl, congratulations on your promotion from QA to the design team on Civ. We're very happy for you.
Thank you so much, Pete.
So we are here today to talk to you guys about the community update, our final community update for this year. This is a huge one. There's a big balance patch, ton of stuff to come through, a whole bunch of civilization changes. It took Carl forever to put these saves together, but we have a lot to show you this week. So Anton, what was the kind of the driving purpose behind this final update here?
Yeah, so as with all of the community updates that we've done for the past year, we wanted it to be for free. We wanted it to be available for everybody, even if you don't have the New Frontier Pass, even if you don't have the expansions. And we realized that there were a lot of civilizations, older civilizations that we hadn't quite revisited in some time. And with all the new civilizations and new content coming out, that was really exciting for the New Frontier Pass. It definitely changed the balance of a lot of those older civilizations. So we knew we wanted to kind of revisit them, but if we did it during the New Frontier Pass, it was kind of trying to hit a moving target. So what we did was we kind of brainstormed and gathered feedback for months and months, and that has culminated in what you are all going to release tomorrow with this community update, which has updates for civilizations and leaders that touches the balance of many different aspects of the game.
All right, and Carl, what are we going to be playing through today?
Let's go ahead and get in game so we can take a look. Every single civilization that we have in game, both the ones that we are playing and our AI players today, are all civilizations that are getting some sort of adjustment in this community update. We will do our best to talk about them all, but even with this, we don't have all of them featured. First, we're going to be talking about Maya. Maya is not one of the civs that we had revealed in our initial video, so we wanted to excuse me, to start with them today and to show them off first. Maya, one of the pieces of feedback that we had gotten was that because they had a bit of a start bias for flat land, that they had lower production than other civs, and that was hurting their potential. So we have added +1 production on farms adjacent to an observatory to their ability kit. And that gives just a little bit of a nice production boost on top of the gold that farms already receive to help them out in those areas. We've also adjusted their start bias so that they have, or should have, a few more hills in their start location. And then lastly, we recognized that it was hard to get cities up and running when they were first founded because of the no fresh water bonuses. So we added a free builder on all cities, all non-capital cities that are settled within 6 tiles of the capital. That's that normal range that they had before. Now those cities get a free builder at start. I can show this off immediately. Let's go ahead and get in game here. So here we have our Maya civilization. Here is our capital. And I'm going to come over here where I have a settler ready to go within 6 tiles. And we're going to go ahead and found this city. And bam, free builder right away. We'll move down here and make that farm. And farms, of course, have additional housing for Maya. So that means that this city is going to start growing again even faster. If you have
Carl, do you want to toggle on? Sorry, would you mind toggling on tile yield so we can see some of the changes to the farms near your observatory rings there?
Absolutely. So I do have this nice observatory ring down here. This is a government plaza, and I put them around here. We've got 2 plantations on each side, so amazing yields here. Let me turn the tile yields on. We can take a look at those farms. We can see here is a farm. Here's a farm that's not adjacent to the observatory. These are plains tiles, so they have 1 production at base, but this farm, and this one down here, being adjacent to observatories, they do have that 1 additional production. So it's a nice little boost to what they have previously. And then, of course, you can see over here, I do have some more hills. And like I said, we did adjust their start bias a little bit to have some more hills in there.
All right. So this is also a good opportunity for us to show off some of the new military changes that we have coming as well too. So Carl, why don't you go ahead and you can start queuing up. I noticed we've got a new government available to us, and you can probably pick some new policies for
We
us
have
as well
actually
too.
one turn until our government is available, so
Sorry.
we're gonna roll over to the next turn, and then we're gonna get that started. I got to place this industrial zone here, a few other things real quick, and then we'll move along.
While Carl's doing while Carl's doing that, I just wanted to kind of go into a little bit of the philosophy behind the builder thing as well. Like we had noticed, in addition to the feedback that Carl had just mentioned, it took a while to get the cities up and running, like he was saying. Having a builder sort of gives you a lot more flexibility with those early cities when you found them, because you're not hurting for housing right away because you have a builder to make those farms and get that housing. So you're no longer sort of kind of locked into your early choices with those auxiliary cities that don't have the freshwater bonus.
Right.
So we have somebody in chat asking if we get 2 builders if you have the ancestral hall, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, that applies to both Maya and Spain, and we'll revisit Spain a little bit later. But if you do have Ancestral Hall, you do get 2 builders when settling those cities. I'm going to go ahead and slot in the professional army social policy here because we are going to be doing some unit upgrades, as you just mentioned, and of course, natural philosophy to get those amazing campus bonuses on our observatories. Let me go ahead and knock this unit out, and then we will come over here and take a look at our new units. Actually, that's a good place to start. Right down here with this catapult. I built this catapult in this city here. There's a stable in this encampment here. Stables, little known fact, do give an experience bonus to siege units. In this update, we have exposed that text to the players, so now when you have a stable, it will list both mounted units and siege units in its text. So I'm building my siege units down here to get that additional bonus. Let's go ahead and move this guy up here, and then we are going to upgrade them into one of our new units, the fantastic Trebuchet.
Awesome. When you absolutely have to throw a 90 kilogram stone, 300 meters, except no substitutes, take the Trebuchet. So, Anton, what was the idea behind bringing in the Trebuchet?
Yeah, so just like with the Civ balance, we had received and collected a lot of feedback over the course of the New Frontier Pass, looking at the balance of all of the units in the game and the unit combat holistically. We realized and agreed with some feedback from the community that there were a couple dips in the unit upgrade lines. So in addition to the Trebuchet just being super cool, and being like a sort of like historical cornerstone that's really fun to see in action, as we will shortly against Scythia, I think here. It really fills a nice niche between the catapult early on and the bombard later. In the game before the Trebuchet, you had these kind of like this kind of lull in between those two units where the catapult wasn't quite strong enough. Your enemies were getting a lot of defensive bonuses as their more advanced walls came online, and that sort of reflects a broader trend we had done over the New Frontier Pass, where we gave city defenders a few more tools in their toolkit. But we wanted to add another offensive tool, and the Trebuchet takes the ticket. It's quite fun to use.
And here's an example of another change that's coming. So, Carl, why don't you talk to us about the changes with Gilgamesh here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gilgamesh, we've received a lot of feedback about him and that he doesn't always feel quite as powerful as we would like him to. And so we have added a feature to his Adventures of Enkidu ability. In addition to shared combat experience and shared pillage rewards, Gilgamesh now provides +5 combat strength to his allies when they are at war with a common foe. So this does stack with the military alliance effect, which is also +5 combat strength. However, it applies to all alliance types, whether it's economic, research, or any of the different types. So I'm going to go ahead and mouse over this combat preview here, and we can see I have +5 from military alliance, and there we go, +5 from Adventures of Enkidu. So I get a total of +10 combat strength here, but I'm not going to attack quite yet. There's something else I would like to do with this swordsman first. We're going to upgrade him into our other new unit to show off in the medieval era, the Man-at-Arms. So here we
you
go.
Guys, yeah, by adding the Man-at-Arms, this has resulted in an adjustment of the combat strengths for a variety of units. So Carl, can you talk a little bit about kind of where those numbers stand right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, first I want to start with our siege units here. We can see that the melee strength of this Trebuchet is 35. And for anybody that was watching carefully earlier when we had the catapult selected, it was 25. People will recognize that that used to be 23. We have actually bumped that up by 2 on all siege units. So where their melee strength was a something 3 before, it is now a something 5. And we've given that +2 increase so that they should be a little bit more defensible on all siege unit types. As for melee units, the swordsman is down from 36 to 35, so down by 1 point, and then it is a 10 strength increase for every single melee class unit after that. So musketmen at 55, line infantry, our final new unit, which we'll look at later, 65, and then infantry has been increased to 75. This is, of course, carried over to all unique unit replacements. So any unique unit that replaces one of these units is modified by that new strength. And then any unique unit that was a melee class unit, we recognize that adding these new units into that melee class tree has reduced the potential window of operation for those units, and we wanted to address that as well. So all melee class unique unit replacements now have 3 strength higher than they used to have, unless their feature was already, high strength. So like the Roman Legion is not getting that additional strength boost, but the Macedonian unique units, the Congo unique unit, all of those are now 3 strength higher than they were before after being adjusted to the base strength value of these new melee units.
And just as a reminder, these new units are available to everybody who owns Civilization 6. These will be in the update tomorrow. Regardless of whether you own any expansions, regardless of whether you own the new Frontier Pass, this pass for these military changes has been applied to everything. So go ahead.
We have pikemen available to research here, and while I won't need them because we have man-at-arms, I am going to talk about the pikemen very quickly. The pikemen used to be 41 combat strength, but the man-at-arms, which is available at the same time, is 45 combat strength. And of course, being a melee unit versus an anti-cav unit, there is an additional 5 strength difference there. So you wanted pikemen to be able to hold their own a little bit better. We've increased pikemen to 45 combat strength. Crossbowmen have not changed at all, but because the anti-cavalry units have changed, we have also changed the mounted units in medieval era. Coursers have gone from 44 strength to 46, and knights have gone from 48 to 50. And again, this affects all unique unit replacements of the same type as well.
Now, we had somebody in chat just asked about changes to the Khmer Prasad, and we'll actually touch on them in a little bit later, so hold on to that question. We'll try to address that in our next save. We got a lot to go through today. This is kind of a fun stream. But a good way to start a stream is always to go conquer somebody else's city. That's always a lot of fun.
We're going to take full advantage of that bonus we have from our alliance with Gilgamesh and do our best to capture this city here. This is, of course, a Scythian city, so let's talk about our changes to Scythia real quick. We've done 2 big things with Scythia. First, we have adjusted their Kurgan unique tile improvement. Let me go ahead and turn tile yields back on, and we'll come up and take a look. The AI loves building the Kurgan now. They're all over the place here. We've increased the gold that the Kurgan provides and increased the faith. The faith also goes up with with adjacent pastures, and that will increase a second time once you unlock, I believe it's the stirrups technology.
It's stirrups, yes.
Yeah. And then much later in the game, you will now earn tourism equal to the faith that the Kurgan provides. And then,
which is why the AI is having such a good time building them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, solid faith, solid gold. It's a really great early game economy tile improvement now, since you can do so much with both of those yields, excuse me. And we'll talk a little bit more about faith economy here in just a little bit. But first, the other adjustment to Scythia is to their unique unit. We have increased the Saka Horse Archers' melee combat strength by 5. That makes it a little bit more defensive when it's being attacked by range attacks from cities or archers, when it's having to defend from melee attacks, and so that helps their horse rush survive a little bit longer, particularly if walls end up on a city.
Okay, got a couple of questions that have popped in from chat. Do the unit changes apply to ongoing games that were started before the update?
I believe they should, yes.
Okay.
I believe so as well,
And
yes.
We've got an Ottoman player who's scared that the line infantry unit will make the Janissary obsolete earlier. How is this working out in balance? It's a good question.
Yeah, that is a great question. So the Janissary unique unit, being a melee class unit, does get that +3 additional combat strength. So while it was, I believe, 55 before, it is now 58. So yes, it can get outpaced a little bit by having the line infantry go up. Giving it that additional combat strength does help it remain operational for a longer amount of time than it would have otherwise. In addition, the Ottomans, who we actually don't have in any of our games today, but as long as they've come up, we'll go ahead and talk about them. The Ottomans do now have a stronger start bias for the Niter resource, which should help them build the Janissary, and of course bombard units. And they also are getting an additional governor title when they unlock gunpowder, and that's because they have that additional governor, so their governor titles are spread more thinly, and also with the addition of the
secret societies.
Yes, thank you,
like
Anton.
That, yeah.
Secret societies, and since we removed all of the additional, not all of the additional, but several of the additional governor titles from secret societies, we recognized that they did get spread very thinly, and so we wanted to add an additional governor title just for the Ottomans. And also, the Trebuchet and all of those melee strength increases for siege units definitely help the Ottomans out, since siege units are their whole shtick. So definitely watch for that and play around with it. You'll have a lot of fun with the Ottomans now with their changes. We do have the Trebuchet up for an attack. Let's go ahead and take a look at this amazing combat animation. Let me turn yields back off.
Wow, I'll bet that 90 kilogram stone flew
literally
over
went out
300 meters. That was crazy.
And you actually can go up to 300 meters when you get that +1 range promotion on siege units, and watching them shoot from 3 tiles away or even farther if you have an observation balloon later in the game. It's a lot of fun to play with.
So we've had a couple of questions phrased differently, but asking about unique units and how they might fit into the new scheme. So, for example, some people are asking, will unique units now change into trebuchets? So
I can speak to that a little bit. Yeah. So
sure, go ahead.
Because we did, as alongside doing the holistic combat balance pass of tweaking all the numbers, as Carl was just saying, we also took another look at all of the unique units. So in addition, and we tweaked their numbers, but also their upgrade paths. So as an example, we're going to be playing the Khmer later in this live stream, and their unique unit, the Domre, replaces the Trebuchet. So it used to be a unit that you would just kind of get as a one-off, but now it is built into the Siege upgrade line. So if you're playing the Khmer, you're not going to get a Trebuchet, which is sad, but it does kind of like take place now in that full line. As for the man-at-arms, which we're seeing here, the Norwegian Berserker, the Samurai, and the Georgian Kevser all replace that unit. So we took a look at existing unique units, their timings and things like that, and we decided to make them replacements for the man-at-arms now that that's a thing in all of our rule sets.
And there are some units that will replace the line infantry later on. So, for example, the French Garde Impériale will replace the line infantry, and I believe the Red Coat replaces line infantry as well, too.
Yes, yeah, fitting that sort of like late Enlightenment, early Napoleonic infantry.
The hats were so good. They're such fantastic hats.
Later, they're glorious.
Yeah.
Before I capture the city and we move on from this, I do want to cover the rest of the unique, or the rest of the changes we have to civilizations in this particular game.
Yeah, let's
So
do it.
we have China here. China was covered by our initial video. Now, when China with either leader finishes building a wonder of any age, they get both a free Eureka and a free inspiration from the same era as that wonder. So timing does matter there. If you're building older wonders, you're probably going to miss out on that boost. But it does keep them a competitive wonder builder for throughout the game rather than just ancient classical. Gorgo here. Greece has gotten a couple of changes. First up, the hoplite now is 3 strength higher, and that's because that unit does not get buffed by great generals, and they're supposed to be pushing with the hoplite, supposed to be doing some conquering, particularly with Gorgo. So we increased their combat strength from 25 to 28, also as a result of the melee line changes. Gorgo herself, we got a lot of feedback that Gorgo is a lot of fun to use for her culture for kills, but that she had nothing helping her get those kills, particularly after the hoplite was done. So we went ahead and added +1 combat strength for every military policy card that Gorgo has equipped, and that's because Greece, of course, gets that additional wildcard policy slot. So the more military policies that Gorgo has, the stronger her units will be. It's a lot of fun to play with, particularly when combined with that hoplite change.
Yeah.
Nubia here is our first nerf of the day. Of course, people have been asking us, are we going to be doing any nerfs? The answer is yes. Nubia is actually a little bit of a two-edged sword here. So we've decreased Nubia's production for ranged units from 50% to 30%, but we have increased the yields of the Nubian pyramid from 1 food, 1 faith to 2 food, 2 faith. So the pyramid itself is a little bit of a stronger tile improvement. And I believe that's everybody in this game. Did I miss anyone?
We talked about Scythia and we talked about Maya. So I think, and we also talked about Gilgamesh. So I think that covers us for the save.
You can't just not take that city.
Oh, I mean, of course we're going to take the city. We're going to take the city.
The Carlbarian strikes again.
And thank you to Gilgamesh for that assistance.
Awesome. All right, we'll get ready to move into our next save then. And we've got, again, we're going to be moving into Khmer, and we'll see some changes to that save as well, too. I was actually going to say, somebody had asked about nerfs versus, were there any civs that had gotten nerfs, or had people just been buffed up? You'll see another significant nerf in this next save as well, too. Poor Russia got hit with the nerf back.
Not that hard, though. Like our general philosophy was most of our balance changes for civs and leaders are improvements. We wanted to bring civilizations that were, not quite pulling their weight in terms of the bonuses up so that they were more exciting to play. And we selectively applied a few nerfs, it's true. So yeah, Nubia and Russia are 2 of the big ones.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the changes to Russia, Anton, while we've got this loading?
Yeah, sure. So Russia, they used to get 8 tiles for free as soon as they founded a city, which was really good.
That's a lot of tiles.
A little good. Yeah, and this was on top of the the 6 they got right around their city. So we have decreased that to 5. So they will still get new tiles, but only 5, not 8. The other perhaps bigger balance change is associated with the Lavra. So we had noticed that great writer powerhouses like Russia could have just a bunch of idle writers sort of sitting around their territory. It was very easy to get a lot of writer and artist and musician points without a lot of investment. So what we have done with the Lavra is they will still give a writer point, an artist point, and a musician point, but they will not do it right away. Each of those points has to be sort of unlocked by filling the Lavra with the appropriate buildings. So as soon as you get your shrine in the Lavra, okay, that's when you get your great writer point. Once you get your temple, that's when you get the artist point. And once you get your worship building, that is when you get the musician point. So it's still the same bonus, but it's gated. So you have to kind of work at it to unlock the full potential.
So as we jump into our new game, we do have a question from chat. I wonder what difficulty you guys balance for. Do you guys want to take that? I don't know whether you balance
Yeah,
for one
I
specific difficulty and let it tune from there, or
I
think
I
Carl
can
can answer
address
this
this.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. When we take a look at difficulty and maps and things like that, we do have to test absolutely everything, right? We have to make sure that something works on settler. We have to make sure that something works on deity. However, most of the time we don't do our balance changes against those types of difficulties because that's not what everybody plays on. That's not what the majority of our players play on, and we try to go more against uh, neutral bonuses, right? Where the player isn't getting a lot of bonuses on a lower difficulty or the AI isn't getting a lot of bonuses on a higher difficulty. Part of ensuring that we do this appropriately is playing both in single player and in multiplayer. So we're playing against other human players. We there's a lot that goes into testing these kinds of things. We do, take a civ that's been a new civ or a civ that's been rebalanced. We have them play as AI. We play as them against higher level AI, but the majority of our initial changes are looking at no significant yield adjustments one way or the other, because if those are calculated into the rebalance, then the numbers are going to be inherently off.
Right. So,
Gotcha.
because if you're playing, if you're testing against like a deity game, and for example, the Russia changes, we're seeing like, well, was this a significant enough nerf? Is the AI using these things properly? But then they're getting all the deity AI bonuses. It becomes much harder to evaluate. So yeah, we do sort of like target the neutral difficulty settings to start, but we do test everything.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's jump into our game and our friend Jaya Varman here.
And
Tell us about, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, quick note there. We are playing on deity difficulty today. All three of these games are deity level difficulty. So if
Which
anybody
is
was
why I
wondering
have
too.
you do the saves and why I don't try to save these games. All right, so tell us about what Jaya Varman's got going for him now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one was a lot of fun to work on. Jay Varman of Kumai, we recognize the fact that his relic gameplay with the Prasat was a lot of fun, but very niche, right? So the Prasat previously gave the martyr promotion to missionaries, which meant that if the missionary was killed in religious combat, it would give the player a free relic. There were two big problems with that, which we definitely got a lot of feedback on. First, missionaries can't initiate religious combat. They have to wait for another civilization to initiate that combat against them. That didn't feel fun. And second, religious relics cap out at 24. So if you were playing very hard into the relic game, eventually that ability would just stop working because you would have the maximum number of relics available.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make a couple of changes there. First off, we wanted to double down on their food and faith gameplay. So we made them a true tall civ. You now get faith equal to the population of every single one of your cities. And if you have a Prasat in the city, you also get one culture for every 2 population, so half the number of population. And those are a lot of fun to play around. You get additional tourism bonuses when you hit certain population thresholds. It's a ton of fun. It's very strong. There's a couple other things that we addressed as well. For example, holy sites, or as Khmer, you wanted to place holy sites adjacent to rivers, which meant that you usually weren't placing them in good adjacency locations. So we added a major adjacency to rivers for holy sites to help address that. So they have a lot of different things working together now rather than trying to sort of compete with each other. Let's go ahead and get into the game and take a look at that. We are right at the beginning of Renaissance era. We have make dedication up, which means this is the very first turn of Renaissance era. Again, on deity level, turn 90 on quick speed. We have a 19 population city. That's our capital with 2 turns until growth. Let me turn tile yields on and we can see how crazy these food yields are. We have an aqueduct right here, and all farm tiles adjacent to an aqueduct get 2 food. This was part of their ability previously, but now their farm tiles adjacent to a holy site get 1 faith. So you can see that here. We can see it again down here. I don't have too many farms adjacent to holy sites, but it is a lot of fun to play with, and it does work with other civilizations. So we can see here I have 2 farms adjacent to a Georgian holy site, and they are also getting 1 faith. So these cities, very tall, getting taller, they grow very fast. In fact, I will turn on the Empire lens here so we can take a look at what our bonuses are. We've got +5 Holy Site there, +4, and up here, +7. And the Holy Site now gets food equal to its adjacency bonus. And this pairs very well with work ethic, which gives production equal to the adjacency bonus of the Holy Site. So we can see here, I have the +100% adjacency policy card on. I'm getting 14 food, 14 production, and 14 faith from this.
That's silly.
I too choose to worship at my factories. This is great.
I'm going to open the religion panel real quick so we can take a look at our beliefs here. We have World Church, one culture for every 4 followers of this religion. Any belief kind of like this, where you're getting yield for X number of followers rather than X number of cities, is very strong with Khmer because they're going to have the population to support that. So we're getting lots of culture here, we're getting lots of faith. We can see 170 culture per turn. 51 of that is from beliefs. And then we are getting 300 faith per turn. It's a ton. It's a lot of fun.
A+ Pantheon choice, by the way.
Yeah, River Goddess goes very, very well with Khmer. It went well with them before, but now that their Holy Site gets a major adjacency bonus for rivers, this is the best pick for them, hands down.
So somebody asked earlier if the tourism bonuses from the Prasat are considered religious tourism.
Ooh, I did test this, but I don't remember the exact answer off the top of my head. I think so, but I don't want to give a false answer. So if any other members of QA are listening and know the answer, remember the answer to that, and are able to tell us in chat, that would be excellent. But I do not want to give a false answer to that.
If not, you have a homework assignment. You can just tweet it out later.
That's true. That is true.
Okay. All right. So now I guess you are, well, everybody's a Buddhist. So I guess you're in a pretty good position to start pushing for religion victory.
Yes.
Right
we're actually getting 3 promotions on all of our apostles here. So we have Martyr because we have the Wonder San Michel here. Right here,
nice.
And that gives Martyr for free to all apostles. And then I also have Moksha with the promotion that gives 2 promotions to apostles. Moksha is getting a little bit of an adjustment in this balance pass. We recognize the fact that Moksha did not give any faith economy on his own, unlike Reyna, who does similar things but with gold, did give gold economy. We wanted to address that, but in a slightly different way. So Moksha's base effect now, Bishop, gives +2 faith for every specialty district in this city. So you do get faith for your districts now. So he does have a little bit of base faith economy. And then I've got him up to that promotion to get 2 promotions on each apostle, so 3 total. It's been going very well in terms of how far we're able to spread our religion in this game.
And Anton, you were saying,
yeah, and that's sort of indicative of well, yeah, it's sort of a broader trend that we've had really throughout Civilization 6 balance. Is faith started as kind of like the religion yield, right, and that's what you mostly used it for, with a few exceptions like Great People. But as we've expanded the game, and especially as we've added modes with the new Frontier Pass, faith has become quite useful for a lot of things. And so we wanted to kind of diversify the things that were just religion before and make them also have some faith economy. So Tamar has just come up. She is another example of this, right? So she is another one of the leaders that we've reworked. Instead of her old benefit, which was to double her faith for 10 turns after a Protectorate War, we've given her something a little bit more reliable. She's kind of the Gorgo of faith now. So she will get some faith for every combat victory that she has, and that applies throughout the game. It's useful against barbarians. It's useful in the late game, and through playtesting, we've identified that it's a much more reliable source of faith. So whether she's founding her own religion, whether she's playing with heroes and legends and wants to resurrect heroes, there is a more reliable faith economy for her, as well as any city that has the new Moksha governor.
All right. And you were saying earlier that that's still kind of a defensive ability too, that there's still sort of an exceptionally defensive civ, even though you're getting this through combat victories.
Yeah, I mean, if you
And
want to go on the offensive, it'll still apply, but Georgia is still very much about building up those tall walls and keeping everybody out. So, being on defense and defeating invaders will give her faith, and that's a super nice synergy.
yeah, and Congo's gotten a little bit of a revision too.
They are, yeah, they are one of the other handful of civs to receive a sort of nerf, but kind of like the Nubia changes we mentioned earlier, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. So with Congo, kind of like with Russia, we had realized that they were just racking up great writers without any problem and didn't even have space to put all the great works. So they will no longer get additional great writer points as part of their bonus. But they will get, kind of alongside this same thing that I've just been talking about, relics, artifacts, and sculpture great works will provide +1 faith. So again, that goes into sort of a more reliable faith economy for Congo. Even though they can't found their own religion or have their own holy sites, faith is still very useful. So we wanted to give them a more reliable source of it.
Gotcha. So somebody's asked in chat if there's an existing in-game benefit for cultivating multiple faiths within an empire. I guess I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I can imagine a situation where you'd be trying to fine-tune some religions versus others, but mostly, I think if I'm playing and I'm pushing a religion, it's because I'm trying to win a religious victory. But I'm not the most sophisticated civilization player on the planet by a stretch.
It depends on the civilization. So Congo actually has an inherent bonus for that, and so it depends on who you're playing. But there are circumstances where that's the case. But most of the time, no, there's not reason to cultivate multiple different faiths in one empire.
Ed Beach is reminding us that there is if you play India.
Yep, India's the other one. So Congo and India.
Well. And more of a niche application of that is if you have multiple religions competing in your city, you will have your pick of their potential worship building. So if you want like a pagoda versus, a synagogue, you might have more of an easy time picking what you want if you have multiple religions vying for your favor in a city. But yeah, that's more of a niche application.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of the other civs that we have in this game and what changes have come to them. So one here is Poland. Poland had a little bit difficulty before because she has no inherent bonuses towards earning her own religion, but her culture bombs and other effects sort of relied on her having a religion. So we have changed it so that her abilities will function regardless of whether she's the religion founder or it's just the majority. So she can still use her kit even if she misses out on a religion herself. And then the Winged Hussar, which was a little bit of a odd man out unit before, now is a cuirassier replacement. So we've adjusted its production costs, maintenance costs, and of course combat strength to be a cuirassier instead of just a non-replacement unit. And real quick, before we move on, I've got the Diplomatic Quarter up for production here. Eagle Eye fans will notice that there is a unique icon for it now. It no longer uses the Government Plaza icon.
What? That's crazy. That's an awesome change. Thank you to the UI team for doing that. Somebody has asked about updates for the launcher. So I wanted to remind everybody that we did update the launcher for Steam. So it should be working for the people who were having issues with it previously. I believe Epic is scheduled to get its launcher update tomorrow with the release of this update for everybody. And again, I'd like to remind you that if you are having trouble, the biggest thing you can do to help us is to contact 2K support. Their channel helps us coordinate and figure out how widespread problems are. If we've got hot fixes or workarounds for you, we can let you know that through that, but that would be where you can go to get support if you are continuing to have issues with the launcher. But thank you guys. All right, go ahead, Carl.
The last thing to talk about here, I think, is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is getting that strength adjustment from the Courser that we talked about earlier. So the Courser gone from 44 strength all the way up to 46, and the Oromo cavalry that is the unique unit for Ethiopia is getting adjusted as a result of that. So its combat strength has gone up. But I don't think there are any other changes to Ethiopia at this time.
Gotcha. Sorry, another question about units. What tech do you research for the man-at-arms and the trebuchet?
Oh,
yeah.
that's a great question.
Yeah, I'm not sure we pointed that out earlier. But yeah, let's go ahead and show it on the tech tree.
So apprenticeship is
man-at-arms is apprenticeship, which is an indirect buff to Gaul. Gaul is not getting any direct adjustments in this update, but because they get apprenticeship for free by building their unique district, they do get this man-at-arms upgrade immediately from that. And then the trebuchet, we have the Domri here, which is a replacement, but it's on military engineering. And then the line infantry, did I pass it? Nope, military science. Line infantry is military science.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to load into our final game. And I want to remind everybody that this is the community update is going to be available to everybody tomorrow. That's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and my Legion of Spies tell me that that is 1800 6 p.m. Central European Time, 1700 5 p.m. British Standard Time. So coming out to everybody tomorrow, and that is pretty exciting. So we have very much enjoyed the process of going through and giving you guys lots of new civs, lots of new game modes, lots of community updates. And we're kind of blowing through everything today, but when the patch notes come out tomorrow, definitely dig through, find out all of the new, all of the good stuff for that. Somebody's asking, what resources required for men-at-arms? Is it iron or niter? I believe it's iron.
Yes, for man-at-arms it is iron, and for line infantry it is niter.
Yep. So that's where that switch takes place. All right. So Carl, tell us about this glorious game that we're in now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm starting in the map first here instead of on our leader screen because we want to show the map itself off. We are playing as Spain here, and this is the TSL Huge Earth map. So let me zoom out here. We can see Spain and all of Europe here. And I'm just going to start scrolling around the map, panning around so that people can see what it looks like. It is enormous. It is gorgeous. It is a ton of fun to play on. This supports 12 civs, 18 city-states. Of course, you can cram more into that if you really wanted to. You can reduce the number if you want to have more space to yourself. Let me come up here and we can see Russia. It's a glorious map, and it's a lot of fun to play on. It is worth noting that if you are playing a TSL map like this, and we also have TSL Mediterranean, which is a personal favorite of mine. I'm a classicist, so I really enjoy playing Mediterranean maps like that. If you are playing a TSL map, it is entirely possible that you will see civs and or city-states spawning on top of one another, and that is just because of the way that the start locations work. The civs and city-states get randomly picked, but if particularly like if you're in Europe or something like that, there's so many that are close together that it is possible that because they have a pre-assigned start location rather than the game trying to spread them out appropriately, you will end up with that kind of overlap. Anton.
Right. So for those that haven't talked about or haven't tried TSL yet, what that means is true start location. So many of you may already be familiar with it, but it's a really fun map type. And now that we've released all the new Frontier Pass civilizations, this was another thing that we couldn't quite do until right now. And so it's been really exciting to pull together. So like Carl was saying, if you have Spain and Portugal, for example, on your TSL map, then they're going to spawn very close together. It might not be the most competitive, might be kind of a weird game, might be fun. You might take out each other's settler on turn 1. But there's a really fun thing that you can do with TSL maps, whether it's this huge Earth map or whether it's the large Mediterranean one that's also coming out for free with this update. And that involves using the leader selection pools that we've also also released for free as part of this year. So something that interesting that you can do with those, which our lead designer Ed Beach has also messed with, is that you can, for example, have one leader pool that is European and Eurasian powers, and another leader pool that is North and South American powers. And you can say, okay, I want 7 from this pool randomly and 5 from this pool randomly, and you start your game. And that leads to some really interesting outcomes. And it's a little bit more reliable than just saying like every leader is random, because then you might have the Spain and Portugal situation. But it doesn't require you to specify each exact civilization. So there's some really fun shenanigans you can get up to with the combination of TSL maps and the leader pools.
Somebody wants to know, how many natural wonders are there on the huge TSL map?
I do not remember the exact count. There are a lot of them, though.
Yeah, we have a city close to Pantanal in South America, I believe, so that one definitely is there.
Yes. We also have the White Desert over here.
Nice.
Did I see Eye of the Sahara, or was that?
Yep. Yeah, we're next to Eye of Sahara. Yeah, there's a lot of them in here. So yeah, let me dive in here and talk about the gameplay itself. Hic Sunt Draconis is the new favorite golden age for Spain. Spain's new kit. Let me go ahead and open their ability here. So we've done a couple of changes to Spain. El Escorial now has a +1 combat strength higher than it used to. It was +4, now it's +5 when fighting against players following other religions. So they have a little bit of an extra boost there, and the Conquistador is the other part of that kit. Their combat strength bonus used to apply only if they were occupying the same hex as a religious unit. Now this is if the religious unit is adjacent, so they can cover more Conquistadors with fewer religious units. Spain did get overlapped a little bit by Byzantium when we released them as a religious combat civ, and then Portugal being a trade-heavy civ, and those were sort of the two things that Spain did. We still intend Spain to be a mixture of those two things, whereas Byzantium is all about the religious combat and Portugal is all about the trade. So those two civs are going to be still stronger in those specific areas, but Spain combines them. So they do have stronger religious combat now. And then Treasure Fleet is the trade portion. +3 gold, +2 faith, +1 production on every trade route, whether it's internal, city-states, or other civs. This gets tripled when trading across continent lines, which we'll revisit here in just a moment. And then when you settle a city on a different continent than your capital, that city gets a free builder, which stacks with Ancestral Hall, so you get 2 builders in that case. And
similar to Maya.
Similar to Maya. And then +25% production towards districts in those cities. So if you do a Hic Sunt Draconis Golden Age, you get +3 population in cities when you found them on a different continent than your capital, which is what I have done here. I sent a ton of settlers down to South America, which had a lot of open space here along the coast, and I started just plopping cities down. Those started at 4 population. I do have Ancestral Halls, so it was 2 builders apiece, and then I have, oops, that's not the right one. I have colonial offices slotted in, so +15% faster growth, and I immediately purchased and sent trade routes back to my own cities to get all those amazing trade route yields. The extra production helps the cities start building faster, and it being an internal route meant that the food helped it get growing faster. I could use the builders to make the mission, beautiful mission, tile improvement immediately for that loyalty boost. And this was such a strong ability. You can see this was the first city I found, and it went up to 10 population already. But this was such a strong combination that I was able to loyalty flip 2 Mapuche cities down here. So this game is going very, very well for us so far. TSL Earth is a lot of fun as Spain because that continent split line is right here. This, of course, being Europe. This, of course, being Africa. So settling directly across that, or even not settling, I was able to trade with city-states across this line. I got a lot of bonuses very, very quickly here. In a normal map, Spain now has an updated start bias. They have a start bias instead of coast, it is now for geothermal fissures, which of course spawn on continent lines. That's fantastic for their science because geothermal fissures provide a major adjacency bonus for campuses, so they're more likely to have a good campus in their starting location, and it means that they're more likely to get these trade bonuses up and running by being able to trade across that continent divide. Let's go ahead and take a look at our trade yields here. I have a trader in Madrid, and we can send it out to a couple different places. We do have Chinguetti, the city-state Chinguetti here. That's why our faith yields are so high. That is a city-state bonus. But of course, we are getting some from our ability kit here. We can see trading to this city has a lower amount of faith, lower amount of production, and lower amount of gold than trading with Cordoba, which is, of course, on a different continent. So lots of really nice, really pretty trade routes playing as Spain now. We're going to trade over here. This is our economic alliance partner. We'll trade with Nubia. And the last part is Spain still gets fun navies. They can still make armadas, fleets and armadas at mercantilism. So I do have a couple of armadas in the game just in case we need to defend ourselves.
So we've got a couple of questions that have come through, sort of some mixed bag of stuff. Are you going to update the older scenarios like cavalry and cannonades? I ask because those modes with new units, like those modes don't include the new units like the cuirassier. No, we are not updating the old scenarios, correct?
Right, yeah. So we, although we're adding the new units and they are part of the rule sets, we really liked the balance where we left it with the previous scenarios. So we did not go back and sort of do a rebalance pass on those.
Gotcha. And then somebody wants to know, will we ever be able to save leader pools?
Oh, yes. That is a fantastic question. So we are making a change to save configuration in this community update. Real quick, Casa de Contracion, Spain's new favorite wonder for
wonder.
getting yields on other continents. It's very, very nice with them. So yes, we are updating save configuration in this community update. So save configuration now will do a couple of different things than it did before. So do be aware of that if you're trying to use that for configurations that you had previously. It will no longer save your exact leader selection. If you hand-picked all of your leader slots, that will get set to random every single time you load configuration now. Instead, it saves everything on the right-hand side of advanced setup. So all city-state pools, all leader pools, your natural wonder selector, all of those things will get saved in. So you can set up very specific leader pools for stuff, and then set the things on the left-hand side, set your leader slots on the left-hand side to those leader pools, which you couldn't do before. So we are now supporting that. And in addition, the most requested feature for save configuration, it now wipes out your map seed. So people were using save configuration and then having to delete that map seed or set it to 0. Now you no longer have to do that. It will automatically remove the map seed. If you do want to use a specific map seed, make sure you note what that map seed is or screenshot it, because save and load configuration no longer hard codes in the map seed. So you're able to just use configurations to set up the exact game mode selections you want, the pool selections you want, and then get into games quickly using those setups.
Awesome. And then finally, somebody wants to know, what is the setting that allows the details of each civ to appear under the civ leader?
So that is in options, I believe interface, there's an option to have this appear none of the time, all the time, or only on leader head and mouse over.
So it's already built in. And then finally, do the city-states rotate, or are they still fixed for the Earth maps, for the TSL Earth maps?
It will randomize them, so there's a larger pool of city-states available than can actually spawn in this map. So if you set it to completely random and don't go into your pool and select them, they will cycle out. And if you same thing with civs, if the civs are set to random, if you do hit restart, it will re-roll those like normal. So if everything is on random and you have more city-states and you end up with that situation where, like, I want to play Rome, right? You're playing Rome on TSL Earth, and so you're starting here, and Vatican City spawns, you're going to be on top of each other. If you hit restart and you had more city-states than you had than are available for the map, you will re-roll the city-states as well, and you might not have them there or have Venice right on top of you or something like that. So if you are doing TSL maps and you do have things set to random, hitting that restart button will re-roll which ones are in, and you might not have that overlap on your location.
Gotcha. Will that also randomize the wonders if you re-roll?
No, the wonders themselves are baked into the map.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome.
So here we have the Conquistador. This is Spain's unique unit. I was pointing this out earlier, but the Conquistador is now up to 58 strength from 55. This is a part of that melee class balance pass to help the longevity of unique units that are in the melee class tree. But we can see I now have a line infantry promotion available here. Line infantry does require Niter. And this is what that unit looks like.
Fancy hats.
Fancy hats. Everybody gets a Shako. You get a Shako. You get a Shako. So that is pretty cool. There's some up in the city-state of Armagh too, which is kind of cool.
Right, yeah.
You can see those up there. And again, military unit will be available for everybody. All of the stuff you were seeing today is available to everybody who owns Civilization 6, regardless of the platform that you own it on, regardless of whether or not you own any of the expansion packs. This is all going to be available to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and 6 p.m. Central European time. This has been a lot of fun. A lot of changes. I'm just checking real quick. Do you want to talk about any of the other civs, any other big changes or nerfs or buffs or things we want to talk about with people?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the other civilizations that are in this particular game and what changes are coming to them. So up here we have Mapuche. Mapuche were covered in our initial video. They are getting a big rework, so definitely check that video out for a full breakdown of what their abilities are now. It's a little bit too much to go into here. Canada is now better in Tundra, so they are getting additional yields on tile improvements in Tundra. Definitely helps them out in those start locations. The Aztecs are getting +1 culture to their unique building, so
Right.
slight buff there. And then going down the line, Korea did not their ability for bonuses for tile improvements that were adjacent to the Sayawan did not stack per Sayawan. Now it does. So if you have a mine adjacent to the wording is each Sayawan, so if you have a mine adjacent to 2 Sayawans, it's 2 science instead of 1. If you have a farm next to 2, it's 2 faith instead of 1. So that does help their placement a little bit. Australia's big thing is that they have a stronger start bias for coast. So you should see them get better coastal starts now. I think that's the biggest thing for Australia. India.
Go ahead.
India. Oops, I don't want to actually go to him. I want to come over to his territory, so I need the mini-map for that. India, the changes to the Varu. Anton, do you remember exactly what the Varu change is there?
Yeah, so we changed, again, as part of the sort of unit rebalance. The Varu will now upgrade into the cuirassier instead of the tank.
Right, yes. I don't know if it got any strength adjustment, but just the upgrade path has changed.
I don't believe
for
it
them.
did. No.
Shaka, over here, we've already covered Nubia. Shaka now gets +2 gold and +1 science in all of their Ikanda buildings, Ikanda being their unique encampment replacement. So all buildings that go into that now get science and gold to help them get to their unique unit faster, and then pay for their army while it's up and running. The unit itself, of course, the Impy, because the pikeman has gone from 41 strength to 45, the Impy has also increased from 41 to 45. Scythia we've already covered. I believe that's everybody.
Yep, Nubia and Russia we've also talked about already. So yeah, that's everybody that we've shown in the saves today.
2 more real quick questions. Somebody wants to know if you can link religious units to military units for the benefit of the Conquistador.
No, you cannot link the units together, so you do still have to move them individually. But this does mean... Yeah,
You can't really.
right, exactly. Because they're different layers, it makes it hard. But because of the change to the conquistador, it does mean that you need fewer of them, so the army should be much easier to manage now.
And somebody wants to know why the icon for the huge True Start location map has Atlantis. I don't know what you're talking about. There's clearly no continent in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It must be an illusion. Also, play with secret societies. It's tons
It's
of
a
fun.
conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. All right. But what isn't a conspiracy is the amount of fun that we have had as a team doing the new Frontier Pass this year, being able to produce these community saves. It's been great to have had this year-long conversation with you guys. I hope everybody enjoys these changes to Civilization 6. We've always said as long as
really wanted to give a shout out and just give a huge thanks to everybody watching, all of our fans who have shared their feedback. A lot of these changes are directly inspired by you, and we really appreciate the love that you've poured into this game, and it just mirrors the love that we have for it as well, and we're happy to bring it to you and to refresh it and update it.
And I'd like to encourage you to follow us on social media. You can follow @CivGame on Twitter and @Firaxis Games on Twitter as well, and our other social media accounts. I'd like to thank Carl for all of his hard work that he's done this year in helping us prepare for these streams. And congratulations again on your promotion to the design team.
Thanks so much, Pete.
And Anton, thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you for bringing us the new Frontier Pass.
Absolutely, couldn't have done it without the rest of the team.
So on behalf of all of us here at Firaxis, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoy it. And I'm Pete Murray. I've been your host today. Have a great afternoon.